to the Let Beauty Guide You podcast with your host, Chelsea Keene. So I've really created this podcast to go on a little adventure, I guess. And I want to talk about holistic health from a multidimensional lens. So I want to talk about anything between sex and intimacy, relationships, personal development, spiritual development, financial power, nutrition, body positivity, creative self-expression, and really anything that contributes to our sense of aliveness and well-being so that we can live our best lives. So I'm going to have guests on the show to discuss a variety of tools for living well and just being happy, really. So who am I and what's really motivating me to create this podcast? So my name, like I said, is Chelsea Keene. I'm 28 years old. I teach NIA. So NIA is fusion fitness. It's a mix of dance arts, martial arts, and healing arts. And I teach that twice a week at Bliss Yoga Studio in the West End of Toronto. And I serve part-time at a pizza restaurant to make the whole teaching thing workable. And I'm really, one of the first times in my life, I'm really focusing on just having fun and having a lot of adventures in my life right now. And I just thought it would be a good time to share that with you and kind of involve anyone and everyone in the adventure. But also, I guess, a deeper reason why I feel called to create this podcast is I really believe that if we all focus more or have the opportunity to focus more on joy and happiness and kind of the adventures of life, then the world would be a better place. You know, if people were able to tend to their needs creatively or in whatever way, that the world would be a different place and we wouldn't have to resort to killing each other or hurting each other, or even just like little things like the way we talk about each other at work. You know, like if we were all fulfilled and happy and had tools for living well, I really just wonder what the ripple effect of that is. So there you go. That's kind of why I really think that, especially in the world now with what's going on, we ought to be focusing more on joy and prioritizing joy. I think it's really important. And I guess another reason why I'm starting this podcast is a little bit to share my story and kind of how I have developed and grown to have a sense of self-worth and a sense of well-being. And not that I'm perfect or I'm not in the inquiry of it, but I definitely have a history of struggling with a sense of self-worth. And I have since dived into tools of, personal development and really I've been using those tools and they've been really beneficial for me. And I just want to create the space to open that up and share that with other people. So I first started struggling with feelings of self-worth when I was in middle school. And I was actually anorexic in middle school. So I remember just like being obsessed with being skinny. And I had this like strict regime where I would be on the treadmill for 40 minutes every night. I fed dinner to my dog. I would only eat like fruit, yogurt, and nuts. And like, that's basically it. And I actually stopped menstruating. Like I got so thin that I stopped menstruating. And, I really had all those like typical patterns of behavior that an anorexic person has. So yeah, and that all just came from this conversation of not having a sense of self-worth and trying to find it inside of being skinny and acceptable to other people and acceptable to the traditional standards of beauty, right? And then fast forward to high school, I actually got a little bit better. I grew out of it a little bit. I started hanging out with friends who were just like really funny and great, and we had a good time. And I grew out of that phase, but I still, that lack of self-worth, that conversation of not feeling good enough still expressed itself in different ways. So I always had to like work really hard and get straight A's and just like prove to myself that I could do life. And then just like anything, it comes in waves. So in university, I went to McGill University and I was studying cultural studies. And I remember second year just like really plummeting, actually. Like I really fell into a depression because while I'm like super grateful for all my education and that opportunity and the opportunity to learn and grow inside of school and books and teachers and all of that, it was like really great on one hand, but I also fell into a depression because I was really questioning what I was doing. I wasn't clear what my path was. I wasn't sure what I was working towards. And I kind of just fell into a depression about my whole self image and my body image too. And that actually expressed itself as I started becoming obsessed with getting wrinkles under my eyes. Never really told anyone this before, but again, it's like that conversation of not feeling good enough, and it expresses itself in all these strange ways. But I started getting very concerned about wrinkles under my eyes and not being beautiful enough and all of that. And it actually got so bad that I went to a plastic surgeon in Montreal. And I was like, can you fix my face, please? And I just remember in the office, they were like, who is this kid? and what's going on? Why are they coming to us with this? And yeah, it was just messed up. It was messed up. Yeah, I had a messed up body image, and I did not have the tools to deal with it, right? And then I also, like I'm not an idiot. I know I come from a privileged background, and I'm super, super fortunate to have all the opportunities that I have, that I've had throughout my whole life, really. And I also felt a lot of guilt for having these kind of like obsessive tics that were mostly to do with myself and my body. And so I definitely, on top of dealing with that, I was guilty that I was dealing with that. And there is some truth that like my privilege afforded me that ability to be fixated on that. But I think also, like a lot of people, I was just dealing with the consequences of not feeling good enough. And for me, I expressed that as self-punishment. I really punished myself in a lot of ways. And I think other people also deal with that sense of not feeling good enough, and they either punish themselves or they punish the people around them. So through all my growth and development and the work that I've gotten involved in and the tools that I've exposed myself to, I really see how important it is to be in the conversation of self-worth and self-love. And I really see the healing benefit of that for people on an individual level and on a community, society, and world level, really. Like it's actually really important that we talk about what it means to live a great life, what it means to love ourselves, what it means to love other people, and how we can be fulfilled so that we can live peacefully and harmoniously with everyone, and how we can be responsible for the world and what's happening. So it may seem like fluff, like, oh yeah, like Best Life podcast, but like it's really important that we start focusing on enjoying ourselves and loving the people around us. And I really think there is a big ripple effect there. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. I teach Nia, and Nia is really a conversation for holistic health and well-being. And it's also a conversation for self-love, loving your body, loving your life, and being kind to yourself, being kind to being kind to others. So that's really, really the tone of the podcast. And I'm going to have incredible guests on the show. I'm so excited. We're really going to talk about anything and everything that can contribute to our sense of well-being. And I really hope this podcast makes a difference for you. You'll get exposed to some tools that may help make your life even just a little bit better. And I'm just super excited to go on this journey, really. So thank you so much for listening to the first episode. See you next time, and we'll get started with our first adventure. So have a good one. Until then.